Imagine waking up one morning and realizing the life you've always known, the rules, the stress, the constant pressure, isn't the only way to live. You step outside and suddenly breathe deeper. You feel safer, healthier, freed. Sounds like a dream, right? But for thousands of Americans, this dream isn't a fantasy. It's reality in Canada. And when they discover it, their lives will never be the same again. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe, like my video, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next update. Across the border, just a few hours' drive from bustling U.S. cities, lies a world that feels entirely different. It's not just the maple trees, the wide open skies, or the polite sorries you hear on the streets. It's something deeper, something Americans often describe as true freedom. But what does that freedom look like? How does it feel to wake up without the constant pressure of healthcare bills, mounting debt, or the fear of violence in your neighborhood? Today, we're diving into the real stories, the daily realities, and the shocking transformations Americans experience when they step into Canada. Take Emily, for example, a schoolteacher from Ohio. She spent her life juggling 2 jobs, worrying about health insurance, and feeling trapped in a system that seemed designed to drain her. One summer, she visited Toronto on vacation and felt something she never expected: relief. Simple things, like walking down a street without hearing sirens every block, or seeing children play safely in parks without fear, made her heart sink in disbelief. It wasn't just convenience, it was peace. It was freedom. Then there's James, a software engineer from Texas, who spent years glued to news cycles filled with anxiety, political tension, and economic uncertainty. He decided to take a sabbatical in Vancouver. The moment he arrived, he noticed it. People weren't rushing, businesses weren't treating customers like enemies, and the environment itself seemed to breathe with him. The public healthcare system meant he didn't have to worry about a sudden medical bill wiping out his savings. Suddenly he realized something profound. He wasn't just surviving, he could actually live. Americans often expect Canada to be similar but nicer, but the reality is far deeper. From coast to coast, Canadians enjoy a quality of life that feels revolutionary for those coming from the U.S. Affordable healthcare removes a weight Americans often carry unknowingly. Education isn't a trapdoor into lifelong debt. Public safety, social support, and even something as simple as clean streets create an invisible yet powerful sense of freedom. And yet, it's not just the systems, it's the culture. Canadians approach life differently. They value community, politeness, and slowing down, in a world that constantly tells Americans to hustle harder, faster, and louder. Imagine the mental shift, no longer measuring your worth by income, status, or fear, but by your ability to enjoy life itself. And the fascinating part? Many Americans describe this as discovering a part of themselves they had almost forgotten existed. Consider Mark and Lisa, a couple from Florida who moved to Calgary after retirement. They arrived thinking it would be a quiet change, but within months, they realized something startling. The stress, the constant competitiveness, the sense of never being enough, they left all of it behind at the border. For the first time in decades, they felt truly free to just be. They could hike in the Rockies without fearing every unexpected expense, or spend a winter morning in a cafe without being bombarded by news and tension. For them, Canada wasn't just a country, it was liberation. Freedom isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. It's sipping tea by a lake, knowing your children are safe. It's walking home in the evening without glancing over your shoulder. It's having access to healthcare when illness strikes, without the terror of bankruptcy looming. Americans who move here often describe an overwhelming sense of gratitude mixed with disbelief. Why didn't I know life could feel like this? They ask themselves. It's a question that echoes in the hearts of so many who cross the border. And then there's the realization that freedom isn't just about systems, it's about mindset. Canadians teach Americans, sometimes without realizing it, that life can be approached differently. You can care about your work without being consumed by it. You can invest in your community without losing yourself. You can protect your family without living in fear. And as these Americans absorb this new culture, something transformative happens. They begin to reimagine what their lives could look like, how their relationships could flourish, how their health could improve, and how their happiness could finally take center stage. But not everyone makes the transition easily. Some Americans struggle with the slower pace, the cultural differences, and even the taxes. Yet, almost universally, the benefits outweigh the challenges. And here's the twist: even temporary visitors, those on a short vacation, report experiencing a taste of freedom so intoxicating that they return home changed. Some make plans to move permanently, while others carry a new perspective that reshapes how they live back in the U.S. The most striking stories come from those who arrive at a pivotal moment in life: a burnout, a health scare, a family crisis. They arrive tired, wary, and skeptical, only to be met with a society that prioritizes people over profit, community over competition, and wellness over worry. One American father described the moment vividly. "I was sitting on a park bench, my daughter playing nearby, and I realized I could actually breathe for the first time in 15 years. That's when I knew I had discovered freedom." This freedom isn't abstract, it's measurable. Statistics show Americans moving to Canada often report lower stress levels, improved mental health, and stronger family bonds. But more than numbers, it's the intangible feeling of liberation from a system that constantly pushes you to your limits. It's the ability to choose happiness, security, and a pace of life that allows you to thrive instead of merely survive. And what's most fascinating is how these Americans change Canada too. They bring their own stories, energy, and curiosity, creating a bridge between two cultures. In discovering freedom, they often inspire others to reconsider what life should feel like, whether north of the border or back home. So, the next time you hear someone say Canada is just like the US but colder, remember this. For many Americans, Canada isn't just colder, it's liberating. It's a place where life slows down, priorities shift, and true freedom becomes tangible. It's a lesson in how a society can prioritize people, and how stepping into a new environment can completely transform your perspective. If you found this story inspiring, hit the like button, share it with someone who's curious about life abroad, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories about life-changing experiences across the globe. And I want to hear from you. What does true freedom mean to you? And could Canada be the place to find it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Because sometimes, discovering freedom isn't about moving continents, it's about realizing it exists at all. But here's something even more surprising. The discovery of freedom in Canada doesn't just change where Americans live, it changes how they think about life itself. For many, it's not about escaping the US, it's about discovering a new way to measure happiness, success, and well-being. People like Sarah, a nurse from California, found herself questioning everything she thought she knew about work, money, and family. In the US, she had spent years chasing promotions, overtime, and paychecks that never seemed to cover everything. In Canada, she realized that life could feel lighter, simpler, and more meaningful. And the transformation goes deeper than just lifestyle. Americans often describe a sense of community and belonging that they didn't even know they were missing. Neighbors genuinely greet each other, families spend time outdoors without fear, and children grow up with the quiet confidence that someone is always looking out for them. It's the kind of freedom that can't be measured in dollars or policies. It's freedom of the mind, freedom from stress, and freedom to just exist without constant anxiety. Some even say it changes their values entirely. Materialism fades into the background. Work-life balance becomes a priority. Relationships strengthen, and in many cases, they start inspiring friends and family back in the US to think differently about life too. The truth is, discovering freedom in Canada isn't just a move, it's a mindset, a revelation, and for many Americans, the kind of awakening they've been searching for their entire lives.